Hey everybody, it's me, Catherine Endy, the family life coach. Whining. What is up with whining? And why has there been so much of it? That's what I want to know. What is up with all the whining? Has there been a lot of whining in your house? And have you been able to observe under what circumstances the whining occurs? Today we're going to talk about why it happens and what to do about it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the emotional aspect of whining. Kids usually get kind of whiny and cranky when their emotional cup is not full. So if you've ever heard me talk about the love cup and the hurts cup, you might be familiar with this metaphor, but go with me here. When your emotional cup or your love cup is full, you are emotionally resourced to handle difficult situations. And when your emotional cup is empty or depleted, you have less resources in there to deal with stuff, right? And we experience this as adults too, right? When you're exhausted at work or feel beaten down by all the parenting stressors or whatever it is that's going on, you've just got a little less there to work with, right? So the first thing I want you to ask yourself, if your kid has been particularly whiny lately, is does their emotional cup need a little fill up? That's the first thing. The next thing is relatedly, I guess, a little developmental check-in. So it happens that around the 6-month birthday, kids get a little weird, like they get a little off. And it's almost like a developmental spurt. It's different than a growth spurt, but like a developmental spurt happens around that time. So if there's just been like a lot of whining lately and it seems a little out of the ordinary, you might check the calendar and just see, like, are we around a 6-month birthday here? Because it could just be a developmental thing that's happening, that's good news, right? Because development is a good thing and it means that it will pass. Another thing to look out for is, are there other physical and emotional needs that are unmet? So for example, whining is really typical around the 4 o'clock, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon time frame because kids are tired and they might be hungry and they are just depleted from the day, right? So you may be familiar with the acronym HALT, H-A-L-T, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. So hungry, really obvious. Angry is that emotional cup thing, right? That's like, is their hurts cup too full of offenses and scraped knees and harsh tones of voice and all of this stuff that they've been on the receiving end of throughout the day or the week or the month? Is that emotional cup of negativity overflowing and or just like getting brimming? And so you get the whining is sort of these little splashes of negativity. Hungry, angry. L is for lonely. That is a need for connection, right? So it's related, that emotional cup, that love cup, that's really the love cup being empty. So if you've noticed that you haven't had a whole lot of one-on-one time with your child, and I get it, if you have more than one child, that's really challenging to fit in everybody's need for a one-on-one time, but it's worth a check-in. If one kid is particularly whiny, do they need a little one-on-one time, a little cuddle time, whatever that looks like for your child? What's their love language? How does that cup get filled for them? Tired, really obvious, right? End of the day is often a challenging time. And then one of my students added a P at the beginning of this. So now the acronym is FALT with a PH. Do they have to pee? Because I don't know about you, but when I gotta pee, I get a little cranky. So that's always worth a check-in, especially if you've got someone who's potty training. If you have to pee, it makes things uncomfortable. So hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or have to pee, hungry, angry, lonely, tired are all times when kids might get kind of whiny and not be able to really articulate their needs in a calm and rational way. So always worth checking in to see what might be underneath this unpleasant behavior that you might not enjoy dealing with, and then how to deal with it, right? So first step always is check in with yourself. What do I need in this moment in order to say the most appropriate thing and respond in the best possible way instead of reacting? So Do your own fault check-in. Are you hungry, angry, lonely, tired? Do you need to pee? What need do you need to have met before you respond to the whining? And always good to be checking in with that stuff throughout the day. Are you getting your own needs met so that you can show up fully for your kids? That's what it's all about. So, do you need to get any of those needs met? And then take a deep breath, check in with yourself, and start with some empathy, right? Whining can be very annoying, but if you think about a time when you were so depleted and so done that you kind of wanted to whine, or maybe you even were kind of whining. And think about what that feels like when you just can't even, when you just don't want to, when you just like don't want to make dinner. Think about what that feels like, right? And so offering some empathy to your child and some recognition of the fact that, like, yes, sometimes you just don't wanna, and that's okay, right? Like, it's okay to feel that way. It's inconvenient for us as parents, but it's okay to feel that way. So offering some empathy. I know it's hard. It's so hard to be for. I get it. It's so hard at the end of the day. I feel you, sister. Whatever it is that helps them feel seen. So take a deep breath, offer some empathy, and then you do have to have some strategies for kind of redirecting that whining. Also knowing that they just might not be capable of asking nicely in this moment, right? If they're just too hungry, they just might not be able to do it. So the way I've typically handled this in the past when my kids were super whiny was, I think what you meant to say was, could I have a drink of water, please? And then get them the drink of water. So you do not have to wait for them to say it nicely. You do not have to wait for them to say it in a nice tone of voice. You don't have to wait for them to be able to do it, because if you've just evaluated the fault, the hungry, angry, lonely, tired, and maybe they have to pee situation, you might recognize that they actually are too hungry to ask you nicely for a snack. So they're like, I'm hungry. Oh, can you get me a snack? And they're not going to be able to ask you nicely until they've had the snack. So you just give them a gentle reminder. I think what you meant to say was, could I have a snack, please? And then you go get them the snack. And then they might be able to do it better after they've had that need met. So I want you to play with this week. Let me know how it goes. As ever, I am available to answer your conscious parenting questions. So please hit me up in the DMs or in the comments. If you have a parenting question, I would be delighted to answer it for you. And I look forward to seeing you next week.